The Giantic Greys come from the constellation of Horologium. They live on a planet called Giantic. They can get tall as 6 to 7 feet. They have pinkish red skin. It is 179 light-years from the Earth. According to the ARB, this race has contacts with 3 world governments. But not the USA, Russian or any other main ones. They have been visiting this planet for 3,000 years and are violent in nature. They are allies with the Matra. Kosnikins Greys, also called the Oneeshtoian, which is the name of the leader Oneeshto. They are an extraterrestrial race coming from the planet Kosnik. 1,200 light-years away, in the direction of Orion. They are 5.3 feet in height and have wide wraparound eyes of an elongated oval shape, that slanted up on the outer sides. The eyes were the most striking thing about the figure. They are a bright green, almost the color of new grass or a new leaf shoot, and the whole eye was the same color throughout, having no white as we are accustomed to. The eyes also had no pupil like ours. The green elongated orb of the eye had an uncountable number of flecks of what looked like sliver points of light that appeared and disappeared in the green of the eye, that seemed to make them scintillate and gave them radiant light. At times the eyes seemed to flash and the gaze was very intense. They have thin lips and a small nose and looked very stern. They have no teeth when they opened their mouth. He wore a sort of wrap-around turban-like headdress that had a 10 or 12 pointed star set into the front of it. The turban was thin and lightweight and of a dark color. They wear white robes with gold trim. The alien being's nose is a small fleshy nub with no bridge structure. It had 2 nostrils like yours, but they turned into the head in a different way. The ears were also small and not much more than a firm ridge, but they didn't have any openings. The ear structure seemed to consist externally of a pair of membrane-covered pits in the head. There was no jaw development and very little brow or cheekbone, giving the head an almost melon-like appearance. The face muscles were also underdeveloped and the face had little mobility, giving the head a stern, expressionless appearance. When asked about this later, the being said that they had essentially overcome their emotional natures and there was little of that nature to be expressed in the face. The eyes were the center of attention in the face and they seemed to be very alive. They seemed to flash and the image is very intense. These beings treated the man in a very friendly way. They are benevolent. Oneeshto once took a man named David Delmundo on rides in one of their vehicles, showed him undersea bases on the Earth, and telepathically presented him with long philosophical discourses about time, space, and the reasons for human existence. This included references to higher dimensions. They travel in the 6th dimensions but can vibrate up to the 8th dimension unknown to Earth humans, and that they are aware of 9 dimensions of being. Oneeshto pointed out references in our Bible pertaining to UFOs. He said that their normal span of life is about 800 to 1000 of our years. Oneeshto said that the axis of the Earth has changed 4 times as far as they have known, that it tilts about every 20 to 25,000 years. The Daos are a small subrace of alien greys that are responsible for many abductions and detentions. They possess very little emotional development, but have very strong telepathic powers. These powers are often used to deceive and conceal their true motives and objectives to stay here. They are from Zeta Reticuli 2, from the star called M2. Their home sun burned out and their planet was destroyed without a soul in hybrid bodies. They must steal energy. They strip off energy layers of their abductee souls. This energy is then fed to infant hybrids to sustain their life. They were altered genetically. They couldn't reproduce, ensuring they wouldn't rise up against their captors. They abuse the use of power only in service to themselves. They would like to be free but instead become wanderers. They are ruled by the Orion group Greys called Markabians. Genetically altered trough generations, they became slaves and pirates. The Daos and the Orion group Greys are all about destruction and slavery. They don't care about human, they are for their own survival. Wash away your compassion, focus and fight, stay very sharp. They are very dangerous to the human race on Earth. Let me tell you how they operate. They choose a world in development. Then make contact with the strongest nation, giving them technology and signing treaties. getting humans permission to study life forms, but they keep their hidden agenda. Then they slowly control your governments, rule the mob, and become your leaders. They have their own human hybrids which they made to interact with humans. The human ones are less aggressive. The Yuccanadius grays. The Yuccanadius are physical beings that look much like a hybrid between the Zetas and humans, but they are not, and have a more threatening appearance. Maybe from your standards of beauty, they are ugly as you can imagine. If you add to their looks, they look much like the ET that appeared in the last part of the movie Aliens, The Resurrection, as the hybrid between humans and the aliens, that they are a little over 11 feet tall, with extremely long arms that reach all the way under their knees. You can start to get the feeling that they are one ET that you don't want to encounter, not even by chance. There is not much that we know about them, as they are very secretive about their plans and try to conceal all that they do. Nonetheless, they are as active as the Zetas on our planet, and maybe even more dangerous and a bigger threat to humanity. The Yuccanadius have a great facility to adapt to cold weather. So they have constructed a big base at the South Pole that serves as the central source to accumulate natural resources. They have great machines that process hydrogen that is used for their cooling systems. One of the many purposes that these beings have is to exploit all of the natural resources from this planet that they need, and are trying to adapt this planet to make it more hospitable for their own species. They are unconsciously here for a spiritual reason, but they ignore that and believe that they are here for the sole purpose of conquering the planet. As we were saying, they are working from their base at the South Pole to change our climate and environment to reach their goal, but there are other good extraterrestrials who are balancing out the mischief that they create. The Yuccanadius also practice the abduction of humans, but not for the purpose of doing scientific experiments. They want to brainwash their victims and make them perform certain functions to serve their ends. They also practice some sexual acts with the abductees. These extraterrestrials are savage and attack without mercy. They are fierce enemies in combat and are feared by many other species in the universe. Their bellicose nature is due in part to their long history of fighting, survival, and suffering. They were extremely abused by an ancient civilization, already extinct at this time. Pain is at the root of their hearts, and the time is coming for them to balance all the karma that was created, even though they can't comprehend it and don't believe it to be so. They are so blinded by their goal of dominion, that the Intergalactic Federation of United Solar Systems is considering the expulsion of these beings from your planet. Until then, you have to learn to defend against them and their big threat to your survival as a species. Especially our South American countries suffer daily under their relentless attacks that promote violence and instability. The Yuccanadius have a great weakness that we discovered that we can use to expel them from your planet. Like we wrote before, the Yuccanadius are great telepaths, probably more than the Zetas, to the point that they can know what you are going to think before you become aware of your own thoughts. Thus, they can produce incredibly powerful mental waves to manipulate humanity behind the veils. Being so mentally powerful, however, has a disadvantage in their case. They can receive the transmissions of human mental thoughts, and they can't avoid or block human transmissions from being received. That's why they are so secretive about their existence. Because humanity does not know of their existence and ignores them, there are almost no thoughts being directed towards them at this point. Technologically speaking, the Yuccanadius are even more advanced than the Zeta Reticulans. These kinds of gray BOET are very intimidating, as they have a bellicose and explosive nature, to the point that even the Zeta Reticulans want to avoid them, using camouflage all the time to avoid being perceived by them, and take great care not to invade their airspace. Their spaceships are very luminous, in contrast to the plain metal look of the Zetas, due to their advanced scientific technologies in the area of electromagnetism. At first sight, someone may think that the ships are made of light, but they are not, as they are made of physical materials. Most their ships have a triangular shape, similar to the stealth bomber, but more futuristic. They have the same big plans like many other ETS, to control and conquer the universe. They are also controlled by the same demonic forces trying to take over the planet, and without a doubt, they are the biggest threat to your planet. The Yuccanadius are too proud to admit that their ideas about chaos and destruction are not theirs alone, but are controlled somehow by the demonic forces. They believe that they have their own agenda and nobody influences them, as the form of their skulls is very peculiar and specially designed not to allow any mental waves to penetrate the brain. In this way, they cannot be controlled by any other species, but their hearts can be influenced by evil forces. The Yuccanadius also are making massive mental waves broadcasts with the purpose of controlling humankind. Due to their own morbid and violent nature, their transmissions contain specific impulses that stimulate violence in human beings. Like any beings who consider themselves superior, they think others have to be like them and adapt to their views about the way they view life and the universe. They have underground bases under many mountains, like in the Andes all the way south to Patagonia and in many other locations around the world from where they do their transmissions. Most of the violent countries around the world are subliminally under their mind wave control. They are especially active in South America in countries like Colombia and Peru, in Central America, in Mexico, in Africa, and the Middle East. Their impact is very clear and real in many countries, but totally invisible to human eyes. Many countries suffer terribly due to their presence. We have talked a lot about transmissions from ETs to humanity. The transmission of each species is different and they don't interfere, one with the other. For example, if we look at these transmissions from the energetic psychic point of view, we might describe that the Yuccanadius mental wave transmissions look like orange-red radiation of high frequency. The purpose is to promote violence on the planet and morbid behavior in humans and society at large. As you can see, all ET that are on the planet transmit mental waves to humanity. For example, the Zetas transmit a low, dark green color radiation to close down human hearts and promote rational cold thoughts. There is even a powerful demonic transmission from the hell, from which the planet is well protected, that only evil individuals or black magicians can receive. In contrast, the angels transmit a beautiful golden yellow. The earth elementals a beautiful light green. Ascended Master from Orion transmit in a bright violet blue. The earth, Gaia, in a deep ocean blue color, etc. So as you can see, there is a war going on in the heavens, as said in the Bible, but it is a war of vibrations. Now that their existence is being revealed for the first time, more and more humans are going to start to think about them and their existence, and our thoughts are going to begin to overflow their minds, to the point that hopefully, they won't be able to tolerate the thoughts generated by thousands or millions of humans, and they will have to leave our countries and eventually our planet. It's time for them to lose their main advantage over you and reveal their presence to anyone who is willing to learn about their existence. That's all that is needed for our thoughts to get to them. Imagine your mind full of thousands of thoughts not of your own. Enough to drive you away, we think. They have attacked my brother and I without mercy to prevent us from revealing their presence, but thank the Most High, for other good ET, we were able to preserve and overcome the odds to provide this important information. The movie Anthon Kafick Greys also call the Shining Ones. The stay on the planet Kafick under a star called Answer in the Vulpercula star system. You can get to the star Answer, which is 297 light years, but the center of the constellation is 484 light years from Earth. Vulpecula constellation lies in the northern sky. Its name means the little fox in Latin. It is not associated with any myths. The constellation is a relatively faint one, with no stars brighter than 4th magnitude. It lies in the middle of the Summer Triangle, an asterism formed by the bright stars Vega in the constellation Lyra, Altair in Aquila, and Deneb in Cygnus. They are 6 to 9 feet tall. They have a greenish pale skin tone and are agreeable benevolent beings. Hue-head like some greys. They have met with at least 2 USA presidents as well as with USSR and now Russian leaders and some high-ranking officials. They supply limited amounts of their technology to humans in exchange for the freedom to conduct abductions. They don't involve other alien in this process. They have colonized over 40 planets outside your solar system. The Aqualions Greys, also spelled Archilions, are a race of tiny humanoid gray aliens. They are from a planet called Arkil in the Aquarius star system, which is 32.6 light-years from Earth. Aquarius contains 2 stars brighter than magnitude 3.00. Aqualions have large heads and eyes, but have a small body, resembling tiny versions of the Greys. Due to their small size, Aqualions hide in human-like exosuits. The Aqualions are the possessors of the Aqualion galaxy and will not stand for it being lost or stolen. The Aqualions also have a royal family, implying that they have a monarchy. They have some of the best ships in the galaxy. They are part of the Protection Treaty and protect Earth from the 3rd to 5th dimensions. They say from the Roswell crash, the metal on the ship was thinner than paper. They could bend it and it would fold back. They said they could bend it like 10 times and it would automatically go back to its original shape. The metal was like memory metal and thinner than paper. They tried everything, such as a fire torch, diamond drill and a power cutter. They couldn't make a dent in it. Understand the type of technology these beings have on these ships. This is deep. We're gonna be talking about this because what the Greys got ain't nothing compared to what we got. See, that's who they shot down, the Greys. Okay, they were a group that came here to do some research, conduct an expedition and to do business. These fools who got mad because they, the Greys, wouldn't give them the technology for their weapons and ship. They shot them down with a direct energy weapon, which disrupts gravity. You must understand these ships that we are flying. These ships that they park here. Because understand the Greys have bases here underground. They have over 22 bases all over Earth. They also have bases on Mars and a moon of Jupiter. They have several bases here. Some in the US and some in China. Some in Africa and some in the center of the Earth. The Roonen Grey were a sentient species that were native to Runa. The Roonen have blue or gray skin and they have a ridged forehead and cranium with large, almond-shaped blue eyes. Short in stature, they have big ideas and are notoriously easy to offend. They also have been known to take even the slightest slip-up as a deep insult. The Jedi Master Halsey on Star Wars was a member of this species. Roonen had tiny teeth. They were reputed for being very picky and particular regarding details. The slightest error could be taken as a grievous insult. Most Grey races speak a language of telepathic language of symbols. They display these symbols mind to communication. This is the alphabet system that they use. Some of the other species may value. Bob Lazar worked at Area 51, or Groom Lake S4, back in the late 1980s, on a back engineering program that he said began there in 1979. He says that an exchange program with the ET occurred in 1979, which resulted in the acquisition of 9 UFOs so that their technologies could be researched. That there were indeed strange crafts at Area 51, it was corroborated by David Adair, who visited there in 1971 to 1979. The following is an analysis of the way some types of UFOs travel. It's the rubber sheet explanation of space-time manipulation by Bob Lazar. Time. Assuming they're in space, they will focus the 3 gravity generators on the point they want to go to.